doing some work on the PC. So I we are live as far as I know. So um anyway, yeah, I've been trying to work on the PC because it's part of the reason why I haven't been doing some of the edits is uh my computer has been like acting like crap because my main drive was full,
Hmm.
even though despite trying to have most of the stuff I work on off bared onto my 4 terabyte hard drive, all the software and plugins and whatnot um were killing my system. So I mean, there would be times that I would have to literally like install applications just to have room to do a live recording.
Oh,
Because you
wow.
know how it uses system,
Yeah.
uh local system to record local, and I was
Yep.
having to like uninstall crap just to do it and then reinstall, and I'm like, I took advantage of Prime Day and got myself 2 terabyte SSD. So
Nice.
I've been install or cleaning out the system, installing that, taking an old Blu-ray drive out of another old system and hooking that up, and all that fun jazz this weekend. So yeah, I'm not expecting people to jump on today, but
Yeah.
yeah, we are. There it is. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just posting it and just in case people want to come see.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um. But yeah. So it's been like screwing with me trying to actually do renders too, because um, like some of the higher quality stuff, it's using system resources, um, thing.
hmm
So I mean, I dusted it, took everything apart. I want to upgrade the graphics, but that's still like a far project away. Um, but yeah, I did a test render earlier today, and it seems like it's working pretty well. So hopefully,
You do.
that'll do well. But
I know this. Sorry for like. I know this is like just absolutely thrilling, but watching me just like try and get in here and trying to like share
no, it's
everything as quickly as possible.
no, it's all good.
Like
I was gonna
try
say.
and get in here and trying to like
Uh,
share everything as quickly as
I was
possible.
hearing that earlier
It's
because
all good.
I pulled it
Um,
up too, just to have check to make sure the live stream is working
what?
right. But anyway, I'm gonna switch this just because that way it looks like we're facing each other.
Oh no. I like that.
But anyway,
Wait, let me change
um,
my Facebook so I can go to our account.
yeah, I actually uh,
So many
on
accounts.
the online store that I
Hmm.
started, I did actually sell something. It's cheating though because it's actually to Eric.
Oh, I'm gonna be buying something here in just in a little
Oh,
bit.
no, it's all good. It's just I had posted the that spiral numbers one clock, and he
Oh
gave it a
yeah.
heart, and he said he really liked it. And I'm like, and he said he was gonna buy it on his next paycheck, so I'm assuming his next YouTube money. So YouTube money, I'm assuming bought it. So I
Nice.
messaged him. I was like, hey, did you buy it? If so, cool, thanks. And he said I did. And I'm like, you were my first sale. You were my first.
Yeah. I hope he was gentle. Delicate hands.
Yes.
Okay. I need a lover with a slow hand.
Uh huh.
I need a lover with an easy touch.
Trying to
Sorry.
remember how I did something. I
All right.
can't remember how the hell I did it. But crap. I'm trying to remember what the hell the things were we were gonna discuss. Yeah, yeah. The wife and I we've been we were wanting to watch the new. Well, it's old, but the new season of Dexter. The 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 the
We haven't seen
the
that.
newer one.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I'd like to rewatch the whole series, right? So I wound up buying uh the box set, including the new season. And of course, it's all on DVD as opposed to Blu-ray because the Blu-ray was like crazy expensive for the entire series.
Really?
Yeah, it was like double the price. And it was, I mean, I think um, because I don't think, I'm trying to remember, did the Blu-ray have the whole plus the new season? I can't remember. But anyway, I was like, screw it. I was like, we'll do it on DVD. It was like 38 discs or something, 3 episodes a disc. So I was like, um, so it timed just right. We just finished one disc. Yeah, Jonah
Nice.
Hill. That was right. That was the thing that
So I wanted to kind of, so the two things I was curious about talking to you about was the Anna Kasparian like trans thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Jonah Hill topic, right?
Right.
Because I thought, like, we're both liberal guys. We're both also pretty fair, and so, yeah, right?
Right.
Try to understand people's perspectives
Mm-hmm.
and give everybody sort of a fair shake. And so, if anybody sees this later, I apologize for the little burps. I just finished like getting dinner in as quickly as possible, so that for this. So. But no, like so like I guess if you want to start like with the Anna Kasparian one, right?
Well, yeah, do you want to go ahead and drop your 2 cents on the?
Well, I'll just kind of lay it out. Like, she had, made a couple of statements basically in regard to, and I don't know if this is being overly fair or not, but like just in regard to like, she had made one statement about like, don't call me a person with a uterus or a bleeding person, right? And we've jested about that kind of concept in our like group chat among the four of us and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But with our recording schedule and everything, we're always like, we record every 2 weeks, so like we're oftentimes behind. And then again, we all have life, and so our recordings getting out like are a little bit behind. So by the time like we like actually record, we're a little bit behind, and then it gets out like it's a little bit behind. So I figured like it's still late, but again, I think that's fitting because we're dads, and dads, like the fact that we're not like 5 years. Like, by the way, did you hear about this controversy that happened? Yeah, Grant. Yeah, pop. Yeah, that was 5 years ago. Oh yeah. Sorry. So the fact that we're not there, like I think that's an accomplishment.
Yeah. It's like, did you hear the new track by Justin Timberlake?
Have you heard this song called it's the Thong Song? It's amazing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's by a guy named Cisco, right?
Yes. We're going even further back. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah. No,
like I like to get on that train and ride it. Woo, woo. And so
I actually threw that out at work the other day because there was literally, I was following like maintenance crew in another truck, and then like my supervisor was around the other way.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, ride the train.
That's
and he
right.
just looked at me like, yeah, I know you're not right. Yeah. You, sir, are broken.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I am.
astute observation there, sir.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I thought like since we were like having a conversation today, I thought like it'd be, staying kind of at least a little bit relevant. And I know like for you guys, you're not on Twitter, so like
Yeah, I
when
didn't see all the
hoopla,
actual original tweet. It was like I knew where she had stood prior from like other videos
right?
of being very pro and supportive of the trans community.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that, and then I remember you posting something where she pissed off the left,
Yeah.
right? And I was like, I was going through and trying to find like, I'm not going down that fucking Twitter rabbit hole. I'm trying to
Right.
find like, all right, who's actually like has gone through it, read it, talked about it, and has an opinion on it, whether it's a valid opinion or not. Just trying to kind of it's kind of the same way I kind of approach about a lot of things, right? Because it's don't take like one person's you know story,
Right.
because it's like it's somewhere where things overlap, you'll find where the truth might lie, right?
Right.
So that's what I was kind of trying to do, and I remember like I was sending you those, and you're like, yeah, no, 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 and
Well, I had listened to them, right?
right,
And like so I was familiar with them and I like there was a few takes that I was just like yeah, like I had heard a lot of the takes and stuff like that. And again, like the most like the one that I like the majority report because like Emma's like actually Anna's friend and like Sam like just doesn't give two craps, right? He's like fairly indifferent, right?
right,
And so
and I kind
I
of
think I think
appreciated
that was
his
like I
take,
think it was
right?
yeah
He was a little indifferent about it. She, if I remember correctly, called it as a bad take. That she's
yeah
still her friend, you know, and I might be like overlaying the um, statements, but that it was a bad take, and as professionals in the industry to which they work, they have to be that much extra mindful in how they present things, how they say things, and that in the climate in which, and like I said, I might be blending um, different people's opinions because I didn't actually take notes. Um, that they, with the climate that we're in, with a lot of very anti-trans bills, you um, that maybe that statement could have been stated a little better. Because I
right
completely I mean, it's the same thing with the like the pronouns thing, right? Unless you know what somebody's preferred pronouns are, you tend to make an assumption
right.
based on your life experience and what you perceive and whatnot. And until
And a lot of
somebody go
people would say that's actually like that's wrong, right? And that you should just say they, right?
right, I mean, because
But
that is a general statement. But
right
if somebody says, "Can you, refer to me as he, she, uh, whatever,"
right
I'm not. I don't have a list of all the proper pronouns. It's just I have the respect for the person as a person if it's important to them to do it. And
to call them what they
for
ask.
right, and for her to go, I prefer to be called this. That's fine, you know. But depending on context, if you are talking in generalizations about that particular subject, where you do have people who do not identify as women
Hmm.
or non-binary, they identify as non-binary, they can still get pregnant. They still have a uterus. So, person with a uterus is a legitimate term. It's in certain circumstances, in certain conversations,
Hmm.
and say scientific or statistics or whatever,
Mhm.
it makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, language can be awkward. It's yet again, this is
Well,
a
but that's only actually, but that's only if they want to be called that,
right,
right?
right.
Like, because what if they're trans and they want to be called woman?
Agreed. But when
But what if I
like
don't?
but
What if I refuse to call them woman and I instead call them a person with a uterus?
I would say that you were being disrespectful at that point.
Right.
Right.
Or like, let me rephrase that. Like,
Like I was saying though, like when you're talking in broad generalizations, I'm not
like they want to be
talking
called,
about
right?
that
Right.
person
Yeah.
specifically. I am talking about that group of people that
Right.
don't neatly fit into. I mean, it sucks. I mean, this is where the whole intersectionality comes in, right?
Mhm.
Where tons of things about you overlap with different communities, right? We're
Right.
both guys with beards,
Right.
right?
Right.
We're both cis, so we're both white, Caucasian, whatever you. I mean, we there are overlaps, right? And we
Right.
overlap with people who don't have beards,
Right.
right? We overlap with people who are gay or trans, but they share similar. They might have beard, they might, there's all these different things, and I hate like always. I mean, that's the one thing I guess that kind of bugs me about the left is the focus on categorization. But to me, categorization in a way is kind of important to understand larger pictures and how we all interact. If that, I don't know what your stance is on it.
So let me kind of go back. So she had made that post. People flipped their shit because they were like, "You're being a turf. You're being like, insensitive to, um, you're being insensitive to, like, to trans community." And her statement was, "I want to be called a woman. Do not call me a person with a person with a uterus or a person who bleeds."
Right. What was the context of what she was saying? Had somebody already done this to her, and
So
so she was
so what
calling them
ended up
out, or
happening? What
what?
she first off, she just posted that, right?
Okay.
So here's my initial with even just that. Let's like not even say anything for face value. So I'm of the belief if someone was identified as and labeled as a male upon birth,
Mm-hmm.
and then as they get older, identifies themselves as a woman, and they want to, dress as a woman and engage in the greater universe as a woman and wants to be referred to as such, I absolutely agree that said person should be referred to as a woman, right?
Absolutely.
Respect what someone wishes to be called and how they want to live their life,
Mm-hmm.
right? So on that basis, what she said, if that's your filter, if that's your theme, if that's your framing, then there was nothing wrong with what she said. She simply let us know what she preferred to be called.
Got it. So
Right?
so it was
So like on
so
that
just
alone,
like, hey, today I would just like to announce this. There it is.
right? If that were all it was, let me preface, if that were all it was,
Right.
and we on the left believe this,
Mm-hmm.
then why are we having a hissy fit?
No idea.
Well, and the rationale was, well, you sound a lot like the right. Because the right will be like, don't you call me this, call me I'm a woman. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Anna at no point in time said, you can't call other people this, or this is what you need to call other people.
Mm-hmm.
She just said, this is how I want to be called.
Uh-huh.
Right? And just because Candace Owens says, don't you dare call me a woman or a person with a uterus or a person that bleeds, I am a woman, don't you call me anything else. Just because Candace Owens says that, well, if we're on the left and that's what we believe, then that's like, then as a left,
Yeah,
as
because
lefties, we should say,
there are no, yeah, because there are times that people overlap regardless of their
right.
political, you know.
Well, and regardless of overlap, if that's our value,
Right.
then we say to Candace Owens, fantastic, that's what we'll call you.
Mhm.
Right? And then with all the other things that she says about trans people, go blank yourself. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Everything else, go blank yourself. But hey, if you want to be called a woman and you don't want to be called like these other things, fantastic. We're not going to do that because we respect what you want to be called.
Hmm.
That's our value. So, regardless of your political affiliation and ideology, we're going to live by that value. And if you tell us what you want to be called, we're going to call you by what you want to be called and how you live. Right? I live my life as a woman, so therefore I should be called a woman.
You know, as opposed to
That's easy.
the assholes to be like, well, I want to be called an attack. I want to be identified as an helicopter. You know, you got those people, right?
Identified as a what?
An attack helicopter. You haven't heard this?
No. Oh,
These are people on the right who are be like, well, I can if they can identify as a woman, I can identify as anything I want to.
okay. How did well
And-
that
and-
my
and-
response
and-
was? Oh, go ahead.
And I think you're completely they're completely missing the point.
No, they're not. They totally get the point. They're just being assholes.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you know, it's like I can claim that I'm a because I'm a large man, you know, that I'm an aircraft carrier all day long, right? It's like I identify as an aircraft carrier. I'm like, okay, you know, but it's
I
it doesn't-
deserve reparations
it's
because
like
I'm an indigenous.
large. A plane could probably land on me. Not going to talk about any landing strips that may or may not be there.
With lights that signal.
Yes, absolutely. But no, it's just. I mean, we live in a time where there's, in some cultures, this has just been a natural thing. They've understood that they. I mean, what I think, uh, indigenous Americans had it. I know, like
Two-Spirit, yeah.
Two-Spirit,
Yep.
and
Well, it's not
there's-
all of them, not all of them,
there was
but a
another
number
culture.
of them. Yeah, a number.
There was another society that I remember watching. They have like 5 accepted everyday genders, right?
Mhm.
You've got male on one, you know, men on one side, women on another side, and in between.
Right.
You know, those who I don't identify and those who, you know, opposite, right? And we sexuality and how you express yourself is, I mean, thing, well, genetics, right? And that's complicated. It's not binary. It's not this or that, you know. And then on top of that, just how you, I mean, we choose to express ourselves with hair on our faces, right? You know, it's like, you know, hearing people, what's the definition of a woman? And I hear men ask that, I want to go, well, what's the definition of a man?
Right.
What's your definition? I might disagree. Does that make you not a man or does that make me a man? You know, just because we don't fit in some nice, tidy little simple box, you know. I don't know.
I'm trying to bring because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna say it wrong.
It's fine. Have a bad take. Okay.
No, I'm gonna say it wrong, but no, it's not a take. It's
I know, I was just making a joke.
is it? Oh yeah, yes. Seer syndrome. That's what it is. So like, you have undescended testes
Mhm.
that are incomplete gonads, and you present at birth as a female,
Okay.
And then as you reach puberty, you can actually start to grow facial hair and present as male. And in fact, your genetics, right? Your chromosome, let me rephrase that. Your chromosomes are X and Y, right?
Yes. Yes.
And for the first 12 years of their life, they're female,
Yes.
right? Their sex organs were internal, never descended, any of that, right? Their chromosomes are XY. When you look at images or pictures, they appear female.
Mm-hmm.
What is their gender?
Whatever they
Right?
choose to
I like
identify
with you,
when they,
like
well, hey, whatever they choose to identify when
exactly.
that becomes an important part of their life.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying, right? But I mean, like, but anyone else, like, because again, they've lived as a female and all that different stuff. And, again, maybe they, wish alternatively or whatever. But, a lot of times their requests, like, they'll need like hormone blockers and all these different things in order to help them maintain and stay as a female. That's a common thing. And they'll want to, stay female
Mm-hmm.
and everything, all that different stuff. And they'll look female, they present female. They exist female, they live female. They're not an attack helicopter because they've never lived as an attack helicopter. Like, I would want to ask that person, how did you achieve flight? Because that's pretty,
It's pretty out there.
that's a
Yeah.
pretty amazing accomplishment
Mm-hmm.
with when you are carrying two limbs that appear to be arms and two limbs that appear to be legs and no like jet propulsion or
Mm-hmm.
propellers.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that you don't have those things and yet you just magically fly is amazing. Where do the missiles come from? How do you create the missiles as an organic species?
Mm-hmm.
As an organic attack helicopter, that's amazing. But again,
Well,
like
that's where I was saying is like where they're missing the point.
yeah,
But you're
yes,
saying
yes,
they're also being an asshole, right? It's like because you stay with like same thing with like how you've got these right wing people that say because furries exist, there are kids that go to school that identify as cats and want to use litter boxes
right.
when there has never, as far as I know,
No,
ever
that's never
been happen. It's
No.
just some bullshit somebody threw out online
Yep.
that people jumped on.
Yep.
And they're like, "Can you believe this?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
It's outrage
I
porn.
mean, it was like, yeah, I mean, is it possible that somebody has a mental disorder, an identity crisis of some sort, where they actually literally believe they are some kind of animal?
I have
Yeah,
actually worked with a
absolutely,
patient.
absolutely possible. That's not what we're talking about here.
Right. I have worked with a patient that actually like
I mean, you got mental patients that think they're Jesus. You got mental patients that think they're God himself, Satan himself,
right.
endearing, all manners of things, right?
Right.
That's not what we're talking about. And they'll be
That
like,
absolutely
but
not.
it's what it's still or was in the DSM da 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 as a da da da. I was like, yeah, but we are progressing, right? We are moving, right? We are understanding the complexities of life, right?
And let me clarify, transgender does not equate to gender dysphoria. Those are not the
I,
same things.
but they
I'm not
get
saying for you.
right,
I'm not saying to you. I'm saying to anyone that
but
listens to
that's
this.
what people still want to like classify things as, right? They'll fall back to the science when they think it's convenient for their argument.
I was listening to a video. They kept on saying gender dysphoria, and this is a person on the left, and it's just like this is not a person that understands this situation enough, and they kept on referring it to as gender dysphoria. And gender dysphoria is not the equivalent of transgender. Someone who is transgender can be transgender without gender dysphoria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the dysphoria part is the distress, the severe depression, the severe, like suicidality, like all of those different aspects associated with the gender conflict, right? However, just because someone is transgender doesn't mean that they're in a dysphoric state.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that they're transgender. Now, a lot of insurances won't cover like the surgeries and things like that if they're not in a dysphoric state, which also to me is an atrocious thing because I'm like, so we're just going to let you hang out there until you finally like, and again, it like, I don't want to say all, I don't want to overgeneralize or anything like that, but like I have worked with providers that have, informed me like express their frustration with insurances because they're like, they won't approve it because they're not in a dysphoric state, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like this person is transgender and they, and it's an elective surgery. Like really? Really? Like when a woman has to have a mammogram or not a mammogram, a mastectomy, we have fortunately gotten past the point of like a reconstructive surgery to replace it with a breast implant.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's now just covered, right? But it used to be like that wasn't covered. Again, and it's not every time. It's not different insurances or all that different stuff, whatever, different plans, blah 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 blah. But like we're at least at a point where we're like they don't. It's an elective surgery. No, we're trying to make them whole again because we've had to take something away
Mm-hmm.
because cancer took something away.
Yeah, because you have people who believe in a holistic medicine, right?
Right.
Where it's not just the medicine side, it's not just the healthcare side, it's the mental healthcare side.
Mind,
It's
body,
the
spirit, not just the body.
exactly,
Yeah, right.
you know. And there's plenty on both sides who are down with the holistic,
Mm-hmm.
healthcare. And I just don't see why more people don't grasp that concept.
Well, and I think it goes back to like when you're cis, you've never had to think about it, right?
Right.
I got twig and berries, and I identify as a boy. Yeah. So I go floppy floppy. Like I go
Mm-hmm.
floppy floppy. Like that's just what I do, right? Like
Right.
that's when you have a twig and berries, that's what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like they've never had a think about like, well, why are you a man? Right? Because they just it's like saying like the old joke asking a fish how's the water and they're like what water, right? Because you never have to think, you never really think about it. It's just you've been in the place where you've been in. Now when you're a fish and you're on that beach or you're in that like that cooler, you're going oh this is not water. Oh that's what they were talking about. Oh, this freaking sucks. Right?
Well, see this, and this kind of gets back to. I'm horrible with names. I want to say Rage, and I'm wrong. Um, we talked to him this weekend.
Rico
Rico.
Rants.
Rants? That's where I'm getting the rage.
There you go.
That's what Rico. When he was asking us that question, he's like, as a black man, and talking to four white guys, he's like, is it impossible for you to comprehend and understand what it is, what the life experience is for being black? I'm paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. And I'm like, and that's why I was trying to, say, without walking in your particular shoes, just like I would not know exactly what it's like for you because I can't walk in your shoes. I can't quantum leap this shit, experience stuff from, that's one of the things I loved about Quantum Leap, right? Is he literally is getting to experience what it is like for that particular person and trying to
Oh,
figure out how to navigate in a woman's body,
right,
right? Or in the body of a black person during the civil rights movement,
right.
right? You don't know fully unless you could. We can't. And that's where the empathy comes in. This is where conversation comes in. This is where listening comes in, right? And understanding, right? And to me, it's all kind of the same. It's as a society, especially I guess with the growth of the internet and Twitter and all that, the anonymity behind keyboards,
Hmm.
right? And the fact that we love to others,
Right.
right? I don't know. That's
Well, and also, like, again, like we've said before, like when you're sitting in front of a person, that's an actual person, and now you have to say that. But instead, like when you're on the internet, now it's just a an image, right?
mhm.
And nowadays, like when we were first starting in social media, we'd put pictures of ourselves, right? But now a lot of people are getting savvy and going like, I don't want to put an actual picture of myself there, right? Like,
Yeah, Eric's argument with the privacy thing and whatnot. Yeah, we're
right.
putting ourselves out there and assuming it's that's just the everyday norm.
Right. And so, like, like, so they don't put their actual picture out there. So you don't actually even see them. You're seeing an image or like some sort of like cartoon that they like or whatever, right? And their fake name. And so when you're looking at that, you're not even seeing a person. You're just seeing this like it could be a bot, it could be whatever. And so you get to dehumanize it. And then on top of it, they're everything that you want to be. You get to strawman them into whatever it is that you want, right?
Hmm.
And because again, it's just you and your wonderful world of assumptions,
Right.
right? And so it like, but like, so like with Anna, like to kind of go back to like that aspect, right? Because like you and I both agree about this, and we're kind of arguing at least on the trans part with people that don't exist, right? But like with Anna, like she had made that claim, and to me, so for me, like just on the basic progressive value of you let us know what you want to be referred to and what you don't want to be referred to, like someone who's a trans woman, right?
Hmm.
And she says, do not call me a man, I am a woman. We don't go like, oh, you are against cis men, you are anti cis man. We say like, fair point, because that's not what you are. That's what you not what you want to be identified as, even though like some people may want to, right?
Hmm.
Just like some people may want to refer to Anna as a person with a uterus or a person who happens to bleed,
Hmm.
like because they feel that that would be most appropriate. She's saying like, no, I want to be referred to as a woman. I do not appreciate these, and I'll get into some of the mindset as to why and why it's a valuable perspective, right?
Hmm.
But then she later comes out and like everyone's like, "Oh, you're bringing up something that doesn't like never even happened. You're bringing up this like what they're talking about in research and blah 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 blah." Well, she's like, "No, I went to a health clinic and they identified me as a person with a uterus because they're trying to be inclusive." And she was like, "Don't fucking call me a
And
person with
yeah,
a
well,
uterus."
yeah. To me, again, until that person that yet again, you're in that scientific kind of mindset right there, right? You're dealing with a clinic who deals with people with uteruses,
I've
right?
never
So
seen that. I've
no, no,
never
no,
seen
no.
that in a family
No,
practice
I'm
or
not. I'm
anywhere.
not saying that you haven't seen it. I haven't
Right.
seen it either, but I don't
Right.
go into a family practice. But you don't know what that person, where they're, what they've experienced, right? And maybe yes, they're totally, in all honesty, trying to be inclusive and not overly break down a category. What are we here to treat? We deal with uteruses.
No, she was
This,
just going in for a regular checkup.
I know, but I don't know what the checkup was for. I'm just
Just a
trying to
regular annual
I'm just
checkup.
trying to brainstorm a scenario, right?
Right.
They're trying to be inclusive. So they call her, they refer to her on a chart, whatever, as someone with a uterus. At that point, it would be, hey, you know, I would prefer just call me a woman,
Right.
right? And if they push back on that, they're like, no, whatever, they're going to be the asshole in the
Right.
situation. You can progress it forward. You
Sure.
have a platform. You could call it
I'll,
out and be like, hey, here, or, in general, just like, okay, this is the time. I'm going to just, no pointing fingers. I'm just going to step out and say, I would like to be referred to as a woman as opposed to a person with a uterus, which I'm assuming is what she did.
I'm certain
You
it
know,
went very, very like pleasant and like I prefer to be called a woman or I'm a woman. You can call me a woman. I'm a woman. Whatever, right? And
right.
and I'm certain that the person that said it was just someone who's a little bit more hip and trying to be inclusive, right?
Yeah.
But for her, she gets frustrated and irritated, right? And so she goes onto Twitter and she like because of this is an actual experience. Again, like we talk about, Twitter is the yelling into the void, right?
Yeah.
And so, and again, but because she's in a more popular platform, like you and I are doing this right now, and I promise you, like I can't see, but I'm certain it's just you and I, right?
Yes.
And so, like, we are just ranting into the void. No one's listening, whatever, right? So, like, we could say something like trans people are the devil, and no one, you're going to cut that. I know because you're a
Right.
bastard
I'm
like
not
that.
cutting a damn
No,
thing.
okay, I just got like, no, someone will cut that.
Yeah, he's just being.
Yeah, I
For
could say
those
that,
who,
right?
for somebody who goes and finds that and cuts that and shows it to Scott, it's out there for everybody to, when they actually do come and watch this video, which
Right,
you're
right,
not
right.
going to because,
Right.
you're the two jackasses just, having a conversation and putting it out there.
Right.
Um,
But like, I purposely
you
put
can
that
get
right.
the full context. He was not being serious.
Right. But no, like I'm putting it out there because like if someone does like that would be a perfect like that was exactly the point, right? And thank you for proving my point, right? But anyways, like I could say something like outrageous, no one's going to hear it, right? Whereas she says it and people do hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
People do see it. People like so I get like Emma's aspect with that, like
Yeah,
because
as
as a professional,
she needs to be
right?
a little bit more
And
careful in
I'm
how
a
she words
professional,
things.
right? I have similar like things that I'm constantly worried about, right? And so exposed by my randomly just making that statement for someone to cut out of context. But no, like there's that gravitas and that responsibility. So so I get that, but like also like she's a human person like anyone else who exists on Twitter and like like also like wants to be able to say that now, and to say also like and like this whole like everything that she used to say, she used to always be a person that was supported trans but no the trans community, but nowhere in her statement did she say that you're not allowed, that she doesn't believe that you should call trans people that.
Absolutely.
She said she
But, I
only
mean, you
said
go
about
with her
herself.
track record. You follow along with her track record because one potentially bad take should not completely
Well,
ruin.
and I won't even say
Or
it's not even a bad
well, no,
take.
no, no. But some people are viewing it as a bad take, and if that's the
Right.
case, you want to take it as a bad take.
Right.
Look at the previous body of work,
Right.
right?
So I want to get into like so one of the things I want to get into right. Like
Yeah.
it's not even one bad take, right? Because it's not a bad take. It's we believe that a person should be called what they want to be called, and we should refer that. And when they let us know what they want, we should respect that. She let us know what she wanted to be called. We should respect that and call her by what she wants to be called, and not call her by what she doesn't want to be called, right?
Right.
Just like we respect the trans community.
Yeah.
Same respect.
Conversation done. Understood.
Just right.
Clear.
And just because you're cis doesn't mean that you're not allowed to like make a similar declaration that like, okay, I'm cis and I want to be called a man. I don't want to be called juju fruit. Like I want to be called a man. Like
Yeah, I'm
I don't
perfectly acceptable of being called asshole.
right. Yeah, that I live by. That
Yes. Yes.
that is my like known moniker. That is our known moniker. And so like so there's to me there's no and again she didn't say this as like this is what she feels as far as the trans community and what they should be allowed to be called or not, right? And so again, so there's no conflict of, like those are not mutually exclusive. You can be pro trans and also say like and support the trans community and whatever they want to be called, and also say but I'm this and I want to be called this and I don't want to be called this, even though the trans community is pushing for this, right? And so, like, those are not mutually exclusive,
Right.
right? And so, so that's to me why I'm like, that wasn't a bad take because there's nothing like wrong with that.
But it
So-
kind of gets back to like my view that we are going through a lot of growing pains right now with
Sure.
with societal change and how some of us in society are becoming more accepting of um labels people would choose to use and whatnot. um and there is a lot of pushback, and I don't like how, which I think you've pretty much stated, how the left kind of started eating itself with this um because she said something that is very similar to X, because X said something very similar to Y. X is not Y. You know what I mean? Um, that now she must be a turf and be on the same side as um Candace Owens,
Candace Owens, right? Yeah.
right? And
Because
so,
Candace Owens said this.
no, yet again, overlap,
Right. Well, not
Um,
even that. The overlap is our value. Right? Just because they both are cis women, right? Because again, Candace Owen is not asking to be called Armenian
Right.
because she's not Armenian, and Anna Kasparian is not asking to be called black because she's not black.
Right.
Candace Owen is black or African American, right? And again, that's another thing. What do you prefer to be called? Black, African American, whatever. Some people prefer black. Some people prefer African American. You tell me what you like. I'll call you whatever you like, right? And Kasparian, do you want to be called Armenian? Do you want to be called white? What is it that you'd like to be called? I don't really care. Like whatever you want to be called. I'll call you what you want to call. Neither one of them. Like, so the overlap isn't. They just happen to be both cis women, right? That want to be called women, right? And the overlap is our values as as progressives to respect what people, regardless of their gender orientation,
Mhm.
right? To respect them and what they want to be called because it's how they live their lives,
Mhm.
right? And call them by how they exist in their lives and the gender that they exist in their daily life, and by that gender that they live in their daily life,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah, because
so it now becomes on to us, not on them. So just because Candace Owens is on the right and she says, you know what? I'm a woman, and maybe like I'm a woman and I want to be called a woman because I am actually a woman and I have a vagina. If that's how she defines herself as a woman, that doesn't matter to me.
No.
She identifies and lives her life as a woman. Fantastic. I'm going to call you a woman. Now,
Mhm.
if she says that someone who, doesn't have a uterus, so therefore they can't be a vagina, or I'm sorry, so they can't be a woman.
Yeah.
They don't have a uterus, so they can't be a vagina. Words to live by. The more you know. The more you know. Right? Da
Yeah.
da da da. No, but like
Yeah.
because they don't have a uterus, they can't be called a woman. Well, bull crap. That's not like you don't get to tell me what I get to call them,
Right.
right? You only get to tell me what you only get to like ask me to for how I refer to you. How they wish to
Right.
be referred is
Because
how I'm going to refer.
this kind of
And if
gets
you don't
into
want to
like
live
the
by that, that's your choice.
yeah.
But my as a liberal, as a progressive, and all that stuff, I'm going to call none of that other stuff matters to me. I'm going to call them by what they want to be referred to.
Right.
The value lies with me, not other people.
Right. Right. Because it kind of gets into the whole idea of
Or
you get
situation.
people.
The
Yeah.
value is always in me.
Right.
Sorry, I
had
just
a
wanted to
thought there.
mention that.
Yeah, I had a thought there, but I was
There's
like,
lots of things that
um,
are always in me, including
what I
Lemmy
was-
Winks.
that's not what I was thinking.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I was thinking Lemmy Winks. Yes, I
No, I
feel
was
him
just
now.
thinking about like
He is with us now.
intrinsic and extrinsic values.
Oh
But,
yeah, yeah. True, right?
um, it kind of gets into the argument that people make about having uh, controlling language, right? It's like the only person that can control the terms of which I refer to somebody else is that person,
Right.
right? You know, it's not on them to force me to use that. It's me and my what I would hope is normal
Decency.
human decency
Right.
to respect that. Um and people get into these arguments of we're just refining everything. It's like no, we're just trying to be a little bit more empathetic. We're trying to be a little more inclusive. And if you don't want to use the language and you want to, you know, be kind of an asshole when somebody has clearly stated that, this is who I am as a person and you don't want to respect that, that's on you. You're the asshole. And we can move on with our day. It's not, nobody's holding a fucking gun to anybody's head saying, you have to use these terms. It's kind of like, like the free speech thing, right? It's like I don't want to go to a college where they're regularly having hateful assholes come to speak, but if a student group has asked them to come,
Right.
the student group should be allowed to have, let them say what they need to say, try to have civil discourse with them, hope change their mind, right?
Right.
And move on with your day,
Well, that's like saying like
because I mean
Oh, go ahead.
the only way to really get over these things, right, is to let light shine on
Right.
things, right? And otherwise you get some weird shit growing in the dark. Yeah. you know
Fungal infections.
I mean, and it's gonna suck, and we're never going to move past a lot of the stuff. There's always going to be some people who have particular hateful views.
Mhm.
And do they have the right to have that particular view? Yeah. Might not
Well,
like it, but they have the right to have that view.
but
You know?
I challenge that, right? I challenge that in this way. Like, because many that use that phrasing will focus on like anti-Semitism or Nazis or racism or like just
Doesn't have
like
it could be
some sort
just
of bigotry, right?
yeah.
Right? But like if anybody were, especially anyone on the left, were to hear this, right? Like they might have a particular viewpoint, right? And or think of certain people, right? That will want to be, that will, get get protests and all that different stuff, right? So, they'll think of like, a particular group of people that are like, yeah, they're hateful people, and I'm all right with that, right?
No, I'm not saying I'm all right with it. It's just you.
No,
There
not
are
you.
no. But I'm saying
Someone who's listening.
you cannot control somebody else and their views. You can only try to have conversation and show a better way, if you will, right? It, I
Where
mean,
I where
I'm all for people voicing their opinion that they do not agree with the person who's speaking and standing outside and protesting or going inside and trying to have civil discourse with that person. But
I
straight
don't
up,
I use the wrong term, challenge.
right? But
Okay.
like kind of like straight up going in there and just yelling over the person, you know, I get the point. I would want to do it too, right?
Hmm.
But it gets into that thing that if your view, which say could be like ultimately positive and inclusive and loving, becomes it starts being viewed as some kind of hate speech because of the people in power, right? You don't want your voice covered up and shouted over. It most likely will be. But that's the kind of like edged sword speech, right? It's
Well,
great to be able to fully express yourself. But yet again, as long as it's we argue about free speech, but that's as long as like the government itself, right, is not we have the right to free speech as long as the government's not encroaching upon our free speech, right? Other people, that's still kind of a mixed bag, right? Um, it's one of those things that where I sit when I sit there and try and have this conversation and play devil's advocate with myself, right? It's one of those places where I'm still really conflicted because I don't want somebody out there spreading particular kind of ideas and planting seeds in people with those bad ideas. But at the same time, it's like I can't control, you know, I can't brainwash that person into thinking you that's a bad thought. Can't have that thought. I mean, you start getting in, thought control, you know.
well,
And
and I
it's
use the wrong term of challenge, but like, you know, you have pastors that go around saying like, like that gays are a sin and things like that and whatever, blah 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 blah
mhm.
blah blah. Blah.
And
You
that
know,
they should be killed.
right? And
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 and I think that's dangerous.
okay.
But I don't I mean, short of the community standing up against that person, you know, I don't know a right approach to that.
So you know, so people that disagree with that person might support someone who focuses on science and logic, right? And well, what if like that science and logic person, right, starts mentioning how religions or a particular religion um, is the source of all evil, right?
Mhm.
And does extreme harm, right? And like, especially if they start using things like, Catholic Church and Christianity, right? Because like what they did, like Hitler was a Christian and said God was with us and believed
Mhm.
that, you know, it was his Christian duty to eradicate the Jews because they were a plight and they killed Jesus and all of this different stuff, right? And
Mhm.
then like they committed the Inquisition on the on the Jews in Spain, and and across Europe, and they went after, gays across Europe and across the globe, and they would murder women as witches, and so they, and also they, harmed indigenous people across the globe. Like, so Christianity is the biggest plight and harm on this planet, right? And they started making this argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then what if this person, like, you're like, I really like this person and a lot of what they do, what they say, but and this is only just a small portion of what they talk about, but they talk about so many different things, right? Like, let's say like it's like someone of a Neil deGrasse Tyson ilk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he talks about like science, space, tries to illuminate, right, all these different things, but also brings in, it's someone, I'm not saying Neil deGrasse Tyson, but of his ilk, but then also brings this in every once in a while, right? And then all of a sudden these Christians start protesting. You want, your group wants him because you're the Free Thinkers Society or something like that in college. And so your group calls this person in, him or her, right, to come in and speak at your school. And then Christians come in and they protest and they get that person blocked. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? Right? Because especially like if they're like Christians, and they make claims like Christian speakers shouldn't exist, that we should tax them into eradication, that we should, exempt their tax exempt status, get rid of their tax exempt status, and we should, tax them into eradication because, they, are plights on our society, whatever, right? And that's one area that they talk about, right? So like now Christians start to feel, and again, I know in our country right now, they are still a dominant force, and so when you're the majority,
they claim to be one of the most persecuted
victimized,
people.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, the victim mentality. It goes back, but
Right.
that was something that
But
was
flip it. Let's say it's
what I'm saying. Just to throw this in there, this is something that was instilled early on in the church.
Well, the church has always been persecuted.
Right.
Well, for not always, but for a long time. Well, it depends on your branch.
Well, if you want to go back to like early Christianity, one of the main reasons they were mistrusted is because they did things behind closed doors, and
because they had to, because they're in Rome and it was illegal.
No, it was not.
Initially,
it was later for a little bit. They were actually being persecuted. Somebody, I think it was Nero, actually blamed them for a fire because he didn't want to. I'm trying to remember this correctly, and I'm probably gonna fuck it up. I want to say it was something that it actually potentially related back to him, but he needed a scapegoat.
Right.
They were an easy scapegoat.
Absolutely.
That was the only purpose. It's
Right.
not because they were hated. It's not because there was some mistrust because of behind closed door things. They were exclusionary, right? They believed they only believed in one God as salvation, right? Where
Right.
everybody else believed in multiple, and the society rested on the idea that you please the gods for crops and good weather and good fortune and yada yada yada. And here they were excluding themselves from it, right? So that was the reason for the mistrust. Right?
Why do Baptists have revivals?
Why do Baptists have revivals?
Yes.
I honestly don't know.
Because they were imprisoned. Otherwise,
but that's a later, right? I'm talking about early. I'm talking early Christians.
No,
before that there were multiple denominations. Even in early Christianity, there were major schisms, right?
Right.
Even long before the Catholic Protestant. But good.
Like, I just like to sit there and say like, no, they weren't. No, they weren't. I mean, like, in England, Catholics were like were prosecuted, and there was massive risks in England.
Yeah,
Like,
but when people go back, the part I'm mainly talking about is early on in
but I'm
early
talking about throughout
Christianity.
history, Christians have been persecuted.
Everybody's been persecuted,
Absolutely, but right.
but
So,
what I'm
but to sit
saying,
there and
but
discount like
no, no,
that Christianity being built on persecution and being
it
persecuted
was
throughout
because
history.
that was part of. I mean, like even the arguments between like of religious sects of Peter, right,
Peter and Paul, or yeah,
versus
Peter and
Paul,
Paul.
right?
Yeah,
The part of the reason why you can look in and throughout reading the Bible and see a transition into this kind of mistrust of the Jews written in to the New Testament
hmm
is because there were people who believed you had to be Jewish first
right,
before you could become a Christian,
right,
right?
right,
And
and that's why like they argued
there was
over.
big conflict between those,
Yep, that's why they
right?
argued over like what you could eat versus what you like keeping with
Right,
Jewish tradition as far as what you could eat versus like opening it up to expanding it. Right.
right. I mean, because it gets into that, that Jesus claiming that are saying that he did not come to erase the law, but to fulfill it.
Right.
That not one letter has changed from what God has said versus me coming here,
Right.
right? So a lot of people interpreted that you still had to keep Jewish law,
Right.
right? And
Right.
others were like, no, Jesus freed us from that, and so you have schism early on, right?
Right.
And then you have just societal changes going on in Rome, right?
Yeah, but again, like you're like again, I'm just saying like throughout like again like you're focusing on a particular area. I'm saying like throughout
Well,
history, Christians have been persecuted,
I'm
right?
not
Like
saying that they haven't, but I'm talking about the in the Bible itself. It teaches that you will be. So if you're always taught that you will be persecuted, you're going to have a persecution complex. You see where I'm going? They're one of the most
well,
prominent religions in the world, yet they
no, I can see, but then also they have historically, and again, a lot of times by other Christian right sects, right, but like sects, but
yeah,
like they
because
have
my,
been
my my view is better than your view, and we need to
right.
fight over this.
And again, but they have been persecuted. Like to sit there and deny that, right?
I'm not
I think that's not entirely
right.
that's not
I'm
entirely
not trying to dismiss
like
the fact that there has been persecution
right,
of Christians in the past,
right.
but how it has been yet again going early church, though. This is where I'm talking about when a
Right.
lot of this stuff was still being written down that people follow today.
Right. I know. I get it. I get
Yeah.
why. But like, let me go. Like,
Yeah.
we're
Sorry.
focusing on something.
Yeah.
Like,
We're swirling here. Yeah. Get back
right.
on.
Like we're focused on something like sort of like
Yeah.
so like but like to and when you have rights, right, or at least what you perceive are rights
Mm-hmm.
in how you live,
Mm-hmm.
and that is being taken away, right? Because we're making things more inclusive for everybody, right? There can be a bit of a feeling that there is a pie, right? And the more people that you add to eating the pie, the less of a portion you get, right? So if you
Get the
walk
math
in,
analogy, and
right?
I
So if
get
you
that.
walk in, hear me out, hear me out. So if you walk in and you say, "This is my pie," right? But then you're being told by an outside force, right? That no, 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 that's not your pie. That's everyone's pie. And you're like, wait, no, we've always gotten the pie. This is my pie. Now you're trying to take away my pie, right?
No,
Even
I look at it as like you're still getting your pie. I'm just going to give somebody else a pie too.
I'm talking about from their perspective.
Right.
I don't agree with
they,
this.
right. Okay, I'm following you. You think they think they're losing something by
Right.
someone else gaining something.
Right.
That it's a zero
So
sum. That but
right.
for them to win something, I have to lose something.
Exactly.
Right.
And so like when they're like when I went to school, like we celebrated Christmas. I'm in my kids' PTA right now. We don't celebrate Christmas. Right?
Right.
I'm happy with that because I like celebrating, like everybody feeling a part of the winter season.
Mhm.
And many different religions have a festival in the winter season, right?
Mhm. And it would only make sense because of massive changes in environment at that time for people
But
to
for
build
right,
traditions around such things.
right. So, but for them, it feels as if they're losing what, you know, gave them certain solaces, and they want that for their children, right? Like
Mhm.
like you want your kid to have security, right? Not at necessarily the expense of someone else, but you want to be able to ensure that your kid has you know at least the good parts of what you experienced as a child and have a positive childhood, you know, maybe even a better childhood than you had, right?
Mhm.
I think everybody wants that. How we perceive that, like you and I, how we perceive that is different than how somebody who is more traditionalist, right? Conservative, meaning they want to conserve things, right? And so for them, they can fear that their children are not getting the same joys, especially if they had a happy childhood. They're not getting the same joys that they had when they were a kid. Like I worry about the fact that my kids won't know what a or my grandkids won't know what a rhinoceros is, except for in a book or a zoo, right?
Mhm.
Because we are less than, I think it's 10,000 rhinoceros of all five species. I think we're less than 10,000 total of all five, like if you combine all five species, right?
Mhm.
And 3 out of the 5 are like less than 100. And so like those are going extinct, right?
Mhm.
I love rhinos. I got to
Mhm.
touch a rhino at the San Diego Zoo.
Beautiful.
They're phenomenal, right? They're amazing, right?
There are unicorns.
That breaks my heart,
Right.
right? So and that to me feels as if my grandchildren's will have less than me, right?
Mhm.
So I want to do things to try and conserve that, right? I want to hold on to that, right? Or like being able to run out into the woods and swing from a tree and play in the forest and stuff like that. Like and everything. I want my grandkids to have that, right?
Mhm.
I want my great grandkids to have that. But we may not be passing on a world where they will be able to do that. And definitely not to the level that we did, right? And so like that would be an area that things are progressing or changing that is less. I want to conserve the environment so that my kids can have at least as good as I did as a kid in that area, if not better. Right.
Right.
So in that case, I would be conservative. Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
Just to me, like physical conservatism. totally understand.
Right.
If you don't have the money to pay your bills, you're kind of fucked.
Right. Right.
Totally get it.
Right.
Doesn't mean, you know this,
Right.
doesn't mean that I can't still to find ways to make sure everybody has access to healthcare.
Sure. So
You know,
then having
or
that
finding,
conversation,
right.
right? And the
Right.
only way that you'll be able to change is if you have that conversation where you talk about like I know you didn't set it up that like you and your family specifically set it up so that you got the entire pie. Right?
Right.
But certain things that were in place were established, and that meant that you got the entire pie, which wasn't fair, which meant that you were actually taking from other people because there were people that had no pie at all. Right? And so what we're trying to do is ensure that everybody gets their pie, gets some pie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can, so what we're going to do is you're going to get your fair share. It's going to be less than what you were getting. And I know you're not going to like that. That stinks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to be able to like have only Christmas, like decorations in a neighborhood or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But they'll be there with maybe some other,
To me,
decorations.
in a way, more.
Right.
Not losing anything.
Well, and again,
You're
it comes
gaining.
like when it comes to faith, like again, you talk to any faith, no faith is going to be fully like maybe coming over here, they'll appreciate that, right? But if we were to go over there and start like taking down some of their like faith, go over to another country and take down their faith's traditions and start putting up Christian traditions and Christian decorations, they'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa.
All right, hold on. But my thing is, I wouldn't look at it as though I am taking down their stuff. I am merely putting up my stuff. As if
But that spot is a spot that that one of their decorations can't go up because now you have a Christian.
I'm sorry.
But I'm saying, like, if you reverse it, if you flip it, it's a similar feeling, right? Over here, we appreciate it more because it's like, oh, right, I get to be a part of the party too, right?
Right. I mean,
Right.
you are looking at country. I'm assuming you're referring to countries that are controlled by religion.
Well, but even countries that may not necessarily be controlled by religion, but have a majority religion that is not Christian, and that if you like that over here would be a minority, and would the people over here that celebrate that particular faith feel empowered and appreciative, right? But over there may not appreciate us, doing, because whenever you're the majority and you have all of the pie, when you start losing
I get
what
your
you
point.
perceive
I
as
get
the
your
pie,
point,
right?
But it's like if I went outside and during Christmas time and put up a big Yule log and some some pentagrams or whatever, because it's something I like and I'm celebrating my holiday my way. I'm not taking. I mean, I get it. People are going to feel as though I'm taking something.
I'm
away
talking
from
about
them.
in the community square.
In a public square, it's either all or included or none. If it is to me, it's a public thing, right? It's to me all or none.
I don't disagree with you. I'm Unitarian. I'm Unitarian Universalist. I'm right there with you. But what I'm saying is when you're in the majority, it feels as if you're losing, right? And so it's
But I'm
having
sorry
that
about
conversation.
you getting into the right wing type thing. Is like, I'm sorry about your feelings. Just like I understand things change and things are tough,
Right.
But
just being a dick of like, well, your feelings don't care, or facts don't care about your feelings.
I'm not going there. I'm just saying it's like feelings are tough. I'm trying to look at it from like from like a psychological feeling.
Okay.
It's like, let's discuss things, but feelings too.
Sorry,
Right?
I heard tough. And I heard something
I kind
else.
of phrased it that way on purpose.
Okay.
You know, it's like the facts don't care about your feelings bullshit. It's like, true, they don't. They don't have feelings. They're Vulcans.
Right.
They're facts. We're solely dealing with logic. We're not dealing with emotions right now.
But again, and the same can be said, like, if you have a predominantly, like, atheistic, place or whatever, and people want to start bringing the religious, right? And you're like, why are you putting religion up here at all? Like, that's just stupid. It's woo woo, and it doesn't even matter, right? I always say, like, that's a belief too, because like the whole belief that there's nothing out there, that there's no greater entity, that's a belief just as much as there is.
Because there's no evidence for that. No
right, because we don't know. Right. And we can say, well, it's impossible to prove a negative. Not entirely. But, right, like, we can, anyways, so it's impossible. Yeah, yes, I know. But, like, not in all cases. But I hear you, right? And so, but nonetheless, it's still an assumption, right? It's still pulling something out of your rear end, just like someone who has faith, says this because this is what a magic bush told me. Well, you know what? I've never seen a magic bush tell me jack crap. So therefore, the fact that there's no magic bush, therefore it's not true.
There's a magic bush.
As long as you trim it right.
Well, that all just relies on own personal preference.
Mm-hmm. And what you do with it. No, and so, but no, like
somebody's yum.
That's right. But no, like, so anyways, going back to like the Anna thing. So with Anna, like, I really, like, that's the part that really irked me, was all of the assumptions and because they said this, you said, and you're saying something similar, or I'm hearing something similar, you are the same as them, right? And I'm like, no, they're not saying the same thing. Like, they're saying a part that is similar in the sense of how they want to be identified. But, like, Anna never made that claim. Secondly, when she did bring up that this happened, in a healthcare clinic, then they were like, oh. All by myself. Boom, 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 boom. No one was watching. I was thinking of you. Boom, 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 boom. I was all by myself. And so, we'll see. Great, Joe's not here. I will take advantage of this moment. And so, when she did bring up that it happened in just a regular follow-up appointment, annual checkup and stuff like that, had nothing to do with any kind of particular part. Again, it was discounted and saying, like, well, you're not giving us any personal information. You're like, how do we verify that this is even true? So it's coming from this place of like, there's nothing you can say. You're not being honest. Sorry, I'm getting confused by the camera. Okay, there's no way to verify this, that you're making this up, and discounting the statements, I'm asking Joe, like, where did you go? Come back in, you silly goose. Sorry, I can't talk and type at the same time.
I don't know what just happened. My internet just dropped out.
No worries.
I don't know what the hell.
You actually, like, look really good.
Oh, it's showing that we're still alive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been here chatting. And I was singing Green Day's All by Myself, too.
You were singing what?
All by myself. Ding, ding,
Oh,
ding, 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 ding.
I was alone.
No one was looking.
I was thinking of you.
That's right. And so, anyways, so she had brought up that it happened in a healthcare clinic, like she was getting her, her annual or whatever, and they had made this statement. Then all of the left was like, "Well, where's the evidence? Like you're just pulling this out of your." So it's like nothing like she could like. So what you're kind of saying is like there's nothing that she can do unless you're violating her privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Having her put a healthcare worker who's just trying to do their job on blast, right? That it was like, it's this person. And then someone's going to go track that person down, get all their information, and then like, and make this person uncomfortable because we have to get to the bottom of this. What? Why? And again, it's because like, to me, I think what it is it's like people like Jimmy Dore, people like Dave Rubin, there's a number of people on the left that like, especially with TYT.
Where does Dave Rubin fit? Because he was part of the left at one point.
Yeah. Oh, he's fully right now.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about in the left is like, there are quite a few people that I don't know if they just grifted their way in.
No, they did
for
no
money or what the is like it just they never really were left, or did they just let power and money, and having a seeming to have some kind of more of an influence, I guess.
So
being brought in as like the token person who left the left because the left is so wrong kind of person. That's the only thing I can see. Like Dave Rubin, like decade or more ago,
right.
I might have listened to him, or listened to what he had to say. Now it's just like, okay.
Yeah. So he never really had like actual values, he was trying to be a TV personality and, was a failed comic. And he was gay and got on TYT, and then TYT wasn't paying him enough. So then he went out on his own, and that wasn't, making enough, and like slowly like followed where the money went and just let that lead him. Right. And so the people that like, not a lot of left, there's, again, because it's like, when you think about it, left is like, F billionaires, right? So if you're a billionaire, you're not going to be like, let's throw money at that, right? For the most part, even George Soros, who funds a lot of Democrats, funds a lot of like, doesn't fund like a lot of like progressive Democrats. The ones he funds are your corporate Democrats who are like, no, let's keep like money in politics, and let's keep the corporate interests, and let's support business and expanding business to help people, and all that different stuff. And so like, they're not really pushing like getting money out of politics and incentivizing, auditing the Congress and all these different things, right? Because Warren Buffett, who gets at times referred to as someone on the left, like, he doesn't want he will say the right things, but doesn't actually want what progressives want, right? And so like, again, none of them are going to fund progressives and say like, here's money, do whatever you want with it, no strings attached, right? And all this stuff, like, you do what, like, and everything. So they're not going towards those people. And that's where I do agree with Eric, right? That they're funding the people that are going to support the views that they like, right? But also, some of those people will say the things that those people like in order to get the funding, right? Whether they actually believe it or not, and they're just going to say what they need to say in order to get the money, right?
Hmm.
And so then they become, instead of working for the U.S. American citizen, they start working for the oligarchy, right? And
Right.
so, right, because again, that's where the money is. So just like if you work for a business and you don't like your business, right? Like you coming out and calling your business by name and trashing them and saying and giving out all the dirty secrets puts you at risk of losing your job, right? Just and the same with me, same with like before I started my own practice, but like same with all of us, right? And so we aren't going to come out and go like, oh yeah, Walmart feeds people, actual people, like we're not gonna come out and like
Waste
say,
not, want not.
right, yeah. Like my buddy was dead and they just started chopping him right there in the back room and put him out in the meat, they don't waste people. And so Walgreens or Walmart, it's people. But no, like if you say that, you're gonna lose your job and then you're not gonna be able to take care of your family, right? And so we're all in, having our speech controlled in certain ways, right? Because again, we all want money and need our paychecks, right? And the only
Mhm.
times that we will like come out and say the truth is when we're fed up with it and we're leaving. Look, I've already put in like I've already quit. So now I'll just say it all, right? Because
Mhm.
now we feel liberated, right? Because we're not beholden to that. Now we're not worried about losing our paycheck and all that different stuff, right? So it's again, like you can say money doesn't control, but that's not true, right? So anyways,
Well, it
um
does, and I hate
yeah,
it.
yeah, no, I know
You
you
know.
know that, right? I know you know that, and I know you don't say that. I'm just saying anyone that like is listening, like they can say that, but it's not that anyone listening to this would say that, but like people can say that, but it's not true. So
Well,
anyways,
I mean, this is
so
almost like
so there's no way of, anyways, for Anna there was no way of winning, right? And unless she kind of blasted everyone, right? And that's and even then, like so it was like this, like I just don't like what you said, right? Because it sounded too much, and to me that's when, like, do you truly value the value that you say you value, or do you value the idea of appearing value, virtuous,
I
right?
don't know. It's like I don't know how I would have handled it, but it's like for me, it's almost like because I tried listening to some of like the thing, and I could understand the frustration with the left, with like I said, kind of leading itself, right? But I almost kind of feel as though like not her position. I kind of just would have been. You've seen my track record, right? This is what I said. This is why I said it, and this is the last thing I'm saying about it.
Right.
I'm not going to continue to give you potential fuel to add to a fire
Yeah.
that I don't want. You have seen my track record. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. I'm sorry. I'm going to continue on with what I've been doing.
Well,
Yeah,
but also
and
that, like, I don't find that I'm sorry true, because especially how I know you and how I know her,
right. Well, I'm
not
not
really
saying
sorry.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm just using it as colloquially.
Right.
You know, I'm not apologizing for anything because I do not feel I've done anything wrong. I'm sorry that this situation is here because you got upset about something I said that triggered you in some way, you know. But I'm moving on. And continue to do what I've been doing for the past 15, however many years she's been doing
19
it.
years.
19 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like I have
No.
proven track record. Yes, people change. Yes,
60 years,
people
something like
grow.
that.
Well, yeah, but yes, people change. Yes, people grow. I was merely just stating for the record where I stand in regards to myself.
So
And
let
that's
me
it.
talk about like why I get why she doesn't want to get called. Because again, like the Sam Cedar saying like, who does it hurt? Who does it hurt? It's like it's a small minor thing for you to do,
Well,
right? And a big thing for them, right? So let me get into why I like understand her, right? And her position. I understand it because I'm a guy. And I'm one of the reasons, not like with her particular, right? But like all of our us cis hetero guys are the reason why she
women
doesn't
have
want to be
had to
called that.
fight so hard and to be what she identifies as, right?
No. Have you ever heard of a thing called TNA?
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. Is she wants to be identified? I don't know if I'm phrasing this right. Because she has had to face the adversity in a predominantly male-dominated, probably, career,
Mhm.
looked down upon because she is a woman,
Right.
and she is proud that she has made it this far as a woman, and she wants to be called what she has always been viewed as, and stood and won in her eyes the battle on
Well,
her
and
terms, right? So,
even
because women have always been held or for a long time, I don't say always, viewed as property, right?
well,
In a way of taking that, owning that, and being successful with it, and fuck you, call me a woman.
sure.
Kind of. I don't know if I'm viewing it in the same way, but
Well,
that's
here,
kind of
let me say what it is that I was thinking.
well. But you were talking. You threw out tits and ass, and that was just T and A.
Right. TNA. Right. Tits and ass.
Right.
Why does that exist?
Because of us. Because of
But
male culture,
why?
the patriarchy.
But like, what does that even mean?
Because
Like,
men have always felt that they control and can dictate what happens and what things are or are not, and how things should be run or not.
so how does tits and ass equate to property?
That's what. Yeah. This is where I was going. Women were viewed as property, and
Okay,
could
but
be.
I'm asking, how does it relate to that?
How does it relate to that? Because that's
Yeah,
all that a lot of women were only viewed for.
valued, right? That's
Right.
all their value, right?
Right.
Their value is their T, their A, and their ability to produce
Reproduce.
right, to
Offspring.
produce
Right.
offspring, right?
Right.
And what for her and for, like, and again, even in a show like this, right? When you're an attractive woman, right? And all of the slights, all of the comments, all are the show me your T's,
Mm-hmm.
show me your right, or like one of the things I remember them talking about is that like there was an instance where it was like when you Googled Anna Kasparian and then it gives you the suggestions. Like the
Yeah.
first
The top
one
Google
was
searches. Yeah.
right, yeah. The first one was feet, right? And so it's like, right? But again,
Never understood it, but
but no, but I like, and we can kind of laugh because we're like, really feet, right? But it's yet one more thing where you're broken down to a part
right.
rather than being seen as a whole person, right?
I get that.
Right.
I get that.
And so, right, and like I'm just spelling it out, right? I'm just spelling because I know you were there. Like I'm just spelling it out so that like people can understand. Like if anybody were to listen to this, they could hear the process, right?
Yeah. As opposed to being, that it's an ass. Now I'm just a uterus.
Right,
Right.
right, and
Right.
also your only value, right, is what you can like. Because think about like King Henry,
Right.
right? Can you can you produce for me a son? Right? It wasn't even can you produce for me a child? Can you produce for me a son? Right? which is a long standing, I mean, you're talking about centuries, like millennia that this has been going on,
Mm-hmm.
right? That women have been fighting this. And now we're finally getting there. And now you're telling me not me, but like if I were, me as a woman, no, we're going back to just your parts. Oh, fuck you.
Right.
Right.
I get the point. And this is
Right.
where I mentioned the attempt to be inclusive and the clumsiness of the language.
Right.
You know,
But in it, you're being exclusive too, because this is where I go into. So which minority group holds more value? Right? This is my question to a lot of people is then tell me what the ladder is, the hierarchy ladder, right? Because whose needs hold greater value, right? Which minority group takes priority in that ladder? Like, I'm not asking you to give me that, but I'm asking like the far left and like all of these people that like to like do these little like purity tests and stuff like that.
Well,
Before we start holding purity tests, what you need to do is you need to give me whose needs outweigh the other
everybody else's
minority.
needs. Anybody's.
Right. Like whose needs are more
Why are
important
your needs
than
more
the next
important
person?
than mine?
Right. Exactly.
Period.
Why is it that in the fight for trans equality, that takes precedent over women's concerns? Because they've gotten so many rights and now trans are trying to catch up, and so therefore we need to bring them back down so that they can catch back up. Like,
But
why
yet
can't
again,
we?
why?
Like,
But yet again, it's still looking at that somebody's losing something for somebody else to gain something.
well, but it is, because if you're breaking women now back down to parts, we went past that.
I agree, but yet again, the clumsiness of the language.
But then before
Then
we make
need-
something,
yeah, and this could be a growing point. How we, as a group, as the left,
right?
as people support the trans community, find a way to grow.
Right.
To
And-
improve. And
right.
like because the thing is like sometimes you have to throw shit at the wall to see what sticks,
Sure.
to see what works. This one apparently is not working. Maybe whoever coined the term should have looked at it a little bit more.
I don't have a problem with them.
But the thing is it's just when you're yet again, sometimes when you're thinking just a strictly logical thought process, you're not thinking about the feelings of the thing, right? You're not thinking about all the consequences potentially of the thing. You're looking at the particular thing, and
Mhm.
whatever we're dealing with issues that pertain to a particular body part and maybe wording it that way, it is something that we need to work on.
Right. And so
Yeah.
like my thing is like, what's wrong with saying trans women? Like, and again, like that Brianna Joy Gray,
Mhm.
yeah, versus I know like that video I showed you, like they want to call her like Greyjoy, because and I want to too, because I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and so I want like, like so in Rising, like you've got Brianna Joy Gray and Robbie, and she's trying to like say like have this argument, right, about like this issue, and she's talking about white paper versus yellow paper, and she's like, but they're both paper, and it's like, and Robbie's like, well, look, that's yellow paper. Like when you say, pass me the paper, right? Or pass me that paper. Or can you grab me some paper? If you're in an office, you're oftentimes, like I think if it's available, most oftentimes you'll grab like white notebook paper of some sort, right? Or like lined paper, right? At least for me, like right? You're not gonna
Right, because
go
it's
like,
like, are you, yeah, like, what is the circumstance in which you need this paper? Are you going
right,
to draw? Are you going to
right.
write? Are you,
Like,
you
like
know,
if you're on the phone, you're
again,
like, hey, can you grab me some paper, right? Like, if you've
yeah,
got a,
this
if
is
you've
where
got
context comes into play.
right. If you've got a stack of white paper, yellow paper, blue paper, and pink paper, and someone says, just get me can you grab me a piece of paper? I think there's a fair amount of people that won't even think and just grab whichever one's easiest. If people are going with an intent about like what's associated with paper, like traditionally, historically, when we're writing on something, we'll grab white paper, right? And then if someone's like, I need that blue paper, right? Then you'll grab the blue paper. Or like if they specifically want the blue paper, they'll grab the blue page or whatever, or the pink page. Like they'll call it out by specific color, right? And again, I know white centric culture, like there's some underlying tones there. I get that, right? And so it's like, he was like, well, that's paper and that's yellow paper, right? You know, like, and she's like, no, but they're both paper. And he was like, what are you fucking talking about, right? And it's like trying to say, like, you know, well, that's a woman and that's a trans woman, right? And I like there's I think at least right now taking away the trans moniker, right? And I get that argument, like nobody says Caucasian American or white American, right? And especially when you look at news, when they're doing politics and they're talking about like American workers, those are not included. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying the default.
Yeah, the default is white, right?
Hmm.
Like because black workers are included in African American, right? They're not included in the workers, right? Or working people, working Americans. Working Americans are the white people, the white working class, and then black working class are in black, right? Or African American, right? And like regardless of like your economic class, you're in African American, right? It's all lumped in, right? And so again, like I get that like that issue, right? And so like when you talk about like, Americans or whatever, like there's this when you look at like the psychology of race or whatever, like there's this historic tradition of American being white and then everybody else has a connotation, right?
Hmm.
Asian American, Black American, African American, right? Like, Southeast Asian, right? American or whatever, and all this
Irish
different stuff.
American,
Irish, right.
Mexican American, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's
Native, Native
Native
American,
American, right? Exactly. Right.
yeah.
And so like so I get that underlying like issue, right? Of separation. But I also think right now, at least from my perspective, removing the trans from woman, right? Because the experience of the two are not the same, right? And that there is a whole construct of experience that cis women do not experience that trans women do,
Hmm.
right? And again, not everyone is the same, but it's also kind of like saying like not everyone that experiences schizophrenia experiences it in the same way,
Hmm.
but they do have
Just
some
like,
underlying traits that are similar.
right, just like a white woman would never have the same kind of job or experience that a black woman has.
Right.
And
And I want to clarify. Let me
with
clarify real fast. Wait.
with
Before you go on, I want to
yeah.
clarify one thing, right? The reason I'm bringing up schizophrenia is not because I'm equating trans to a mental health disorder. I work in mental health, so therefore that is my place of comfort speaking,
Right.
right? And so I'm not equating those two. So I wanted to get that out because I was like,
Okay.
ah. So,
Yeah.
anyways, go ahead, continue
Gotcha.
with what you're saying. Right.
Absolutely got you. No, it's just, like the weird things where you hear the stories of how uh you know a white woman or somebody would come up to a black woman who's working in the office and comment about the hair, or can I touch your hair, and these other kind of weird things that it's like, yeah, there might have been some man who might have come up and, touched, a white woman's hair, sexually harassing her, you know, but they're not quite the same experience, you know? I mean, they could both be sexual harassment, but they could also be vastly different,
Oh,
you know?
and
And
also,
the fact that African American women have always been told, had this, they didn't have the weird thing, but society and the work environment had this weird thing about not wearing their hair naturally. It had to have been straightened or, done the
cut,
perm and all this. You can't, come in with it short because that's, weird. Or, you come in, with it, out or wearing it in braids is that's just not acceptable here. And like that's just bullshit. It's hair, you know,
yeah,
in every culture they have their own, after, hair texture's completely different, completely understand, but it's not like I have to go and touch your hair because it's weird. That I don't get that. You know, um, it's like we were I forget what the hell we were watching. I think it was Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen is whatever the Gordon Ramsay show. I forget
hmm
what it is. But anyway, they actually had a commercial for um for I don't know, whichever term you want, African American black hair products. And I don't think I've ever seen that on TV before, short of like on BET.
right, right, right,
And
right,
I'm
right.
like, dude, you know, that's what this is the whole thing of inclusion and losing their shit. Gay couples being on TV. It has always been heterosexual couples.
Right.
Always been heterosexual couples, white heterosexual couples. People lost their shit when it started being mixed heterosexual couples or divorced, heterosexual couples. Uh, the world is diverse with lots of different people. Show as many of them as possible, right? Nobody's taking your fucking pie. They're just getting their own pie.
Right.
They're
Well,
working,
and one of the
and
things I also want to bring up is that, like, because also, like, we just
I
about
hated that
the
I felt like excited that I saw that because it's like it,
yeah,
it's I shouldn't have to feel like way to go.
right,
Thank you Hulu or whoever it was that we were watching it and they showed the ad. You
right,
know, we should be way past this by now.
right.
But anyway,
And so, like, the other thing, like, that I like is the concept of, and again, I know it's not like a thing that's commonly being used, and I think it's more spoken about in the right or whatever, but and that it was a small group and everything like that. But like the concept of the bonus hole, right? And
the concept of the bonus hole.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
What is a
Like in this
bonus
in
hole?
this really small group of transgender women, right? Um, they had agreed in their group to refer to as a vagina as a bonus hole, right? And
Never heard this.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And so, and again, like she had made a comment about like, don't you dare call it a bonus hole, like right. And again, people like there it is, she's a turf or whatever. So, again,
Well,
here's one of my things is that some of this is coming from, even though that even though someone is transgendered, right? If they're a transgender female, right? Like Bruce Jenner,
mm-hmm.
or I mean Caitlyn Jenner,
His
Caitlyn
dad.
Jenner.
Yeah. Shame on
Sorry.
you for using.
Yes, no, as like so Caitlyn Jenner, who like when like, and this is why I said that was because prior to coming out as transgendered,
Mm-hmm.
right, and letting us know, she spent the like up to this point the vast majority of her life as Bruce Jenner, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And during that whole time was treated as a male,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so therefore culturally was indoctrinated from a male perspective, even though she didn't feel like she fit in with that.
Mm-hmm.
She still was spoken to, grew up in an environment in, and all of that, and hung out with other athletes and guys and stuff like that, right? In this culture of a male centered perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which it's getting better nowadays, but I would say my guess, I don't know the statistics on it, but my guess for the very small percentage of people that actually are transgendered, that's a similar, maybe not to the same length of time, but for the majority of transgender women, that would be something that would be a similar experience. That for a very good portion of their time, they were spoken to as men or as a boy or whatever, right? As a male, right? They were engaged with as a male. Maybe they didn't, like, and again, like Caitlyn Jenner liked to play sports, right? And so, which is back then often identified and viewed as a more male or masculine behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there was women's sports, there was Billie Jean King and all that different stuff or whatever, but like it was that concept, that archaic concept of dads, going out and playing catch with their son. Like you didn't hear about like it wasn't as common for the dads to go out and play catch with their daughters.
Or the moms to go out and pay catch.
Exactly, with their sons. Right, again, right. And
Or
so right, with their sons or daughters, right? So again, right? So this is like again, I'm not saying that's correct or whatever. I'm just saying that like for that period of time, right? And so some of this almost has a male centric perspective that's being thrusted upon women's experience. Right.
I don't know who coined the term.
Well,
and the reason for it.
Well, for that, it was a group of transgendered women, and I don't think they'd had their surgeries yet, and so they just referred to it as a bonus hole. But even
you're still talking bonus hole. I was talking.
Yeah.
I was still thinking. I remember the bonus hole, but thinking about the people with uteruses.
Right. Again,
I don't know. Like, and the thing with the bonus hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like if they want to call it a bonus hole, fucking call it a bonus hole. She might not like it. Don't refer to hers as such. Well,
but,
and I mean, it's like you can call yours whatever you want.
Right.
You can call yours the 11th finger. You can call yours the mini Scott, whatever. I don't.
Have you ever heard of Latinx?
I've heard that, and I've heard the arguments that there are very few people, if any, that apparently want to be referred to as Latinx. So
right.
Maybe a term that should just eventually die off and go away.
Except
if there are people who want to be referred to as Latinx,
right?
But
what I'm saying is that's actually grown in zeitgeist because no one said, "Stop this! What are you doing?" What it is it's people going above and beyond to appear as if they're inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Now pushing a concept onto people who don't want it.
Like, why do you not want it? We're trying to help you. Is that the thing? We're trying to be inclusive with you and yada yada yada. And you
right. We're trying to help you for you. Right. No, but not even from that. But like the media.
See, if this had grown.
These terms are developed in the media.
Community. Yeah, but had this term grown in the community,
right?
I don't say think there would have been a problem, right? Like if it had grown out of the Latin community,
Right.
not like something being thrown from the media or some, you know, somebody thinking, misguided help from some, sociologist in some university or whatever, wherever the term came from. Had it grown out organically, like, if the trans community, you know, the vast majority of them decide that when they become post-op, they want to refer to it as the bonus hole in their community and call it the bonus hole, whatever they want, you know, unless
Well,
unless unless it was like a derogatory term towards women who were born with, and then I can see kind of like, like, oh, you only use that to get your bonus for the year, kind of. I don't know what the how that term came about, you know, but
well,
I'm spitballing
right. Yeah.
ideas
Yeah.
here
No,
because
no, no.
you brought this up and I'd never heard it.
No, no, no. Bonus hole is because they have one hole, which is the butthole. And then, so the vagina would just be a bonus hole for them.
I
Right.
get you.
So
Okay.
to me, I like, to me in that context, it's hilarious. Right.
Yeah, and
Right.
if it's
And
something that
so,
their
but
community,
here's
they
my
can ride with.
curiosity as far as labeling, right? And coming up with terms. Like, let's take the concept of woman. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so then if we were to talk about woman, right, and how to define a woman,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying like, okay, what if this grows up organically, right, from the community? Okay, so then, but that community would include cisgender women,
Trans women.
trans women that haven't and won't get a surgery,
Mm-hmm.
trans women that are pre-op, and trans women are post-op,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And I
And
can mind
so,
my fucking business and stay in my lane
but when one person, one of those four is making a determination
for the other three.
for the
There's a
other
problem.
three, right?
That's a problem.
But and that's what I'm saying is the issue with when Anna's, like we're talking about, we're using Anna, but like when cis women, and this is a real issue, like a real like frustration with cis women, right? When cis women have these concerns, their concerns, the vocal minority, I would posit to say, but these are also, like, we could say the vocal minority, but these are also like names in the left community are coming in and being like, and this is where I brought up that concept in like one of my like little arguments about this, was like, all right, Mr. like white knight coming to save the fucking day. And the guy was like, one of the people was like, why are you bringing race into this? And I'm like, are you a fucking moron?
Right.
Like, no one brought race. Why are you talking about race? Well, you're talking about a white knight. Right. Don't you know what that fucking means? Why are you bringing race into this? It's not about race, moron. Like, you're fucking stupid. Like, don't put your stupid on me. That's your issue. Go Google it. No, why don't you tell me? Because it's not my job to fucking educate you. It's your job to educate yourself. Anyways, that still pissed me off. But like, here these cis males are coming in to dogpile on Anna, a woman,
Mm-hmm.
in the name of the transgender community, right? And like shit on her for being like, oh, I can't believe you did this, right? And again, even Sam
Is that
Cedar
why
coming in this.
Was it Jimmy Dore was just kind of like, because not really his play. I mean, he can kind of have a judgment on it, but that's, and just move on because it's, if anything, he should be going after the white cis males for dogpiling on her and staying and reminding
Jimmy
them
Dore's
to,
not left.
well, whatever the guy's name was that you were talking
Oh, David
about.
Dolan?
I don't remember. He was just kind of like he knows her. He's like, yeah, da, 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 but
Oh, Sam Cedar. Yeah, that's Sam Cedar.
Sam
Yeah,
Cedar.
yeah, Sam Cedar. Yeah, yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Cedar. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm horrible with fucking names.
You called him Jimmy Dore? Oh, that's glorious.
I don't know why that name popped in. Anyway.
You're gonna get canceled for that.
Oh yay!
Yeah.
Didn't even get started.
Right. Okay,
anyway.
but Sam Cedar. Yeah, yeah,
Can't cancel the subscription that you don't have. Anyway, where it's just he just kind of is like, yeah, yeah, this happened, and I'm not gonna dwell on it anymore. And like called in, is like, why are you not doing any more outrageous? It's like talked about it, and I moved on. To me, it's like short of just calling out the men and saying, you know what, this is between at least 4 other parties, and we're not one of them. So just mind your fucking business. Let them figure it out.
No, but
Let
you
them
gotta be an
handle it.
ally, Joe.
I can be an ally without
You gotta
putting in my. I can be an ally without having to voice my fucking opinion that doesn't matter.
But you
I
have
can
to be an
still be
ally.
there.
No, you can't. You have
I
to
can-
fight.
No, see that there's a
You have to
difference
fight
between
with
an
them.
accomplice and an ally. I can be a shoulder to cry on. I can be there to help
Well-
push you up when you're falling, or to catch you when you're falling.
And-
But it
and-
doesn't mean I have to be the one to potentially shove you.
Well, and which one are you an ally to? Are you an ally to women or to the trans community?
I'm an ally to both.
Right, but no, you can't. Like, because when the trans community and women are going after each other, you have to pick a side. So, who are you an ally to?
I'm an ally to both. I support both.
No,
both
but-
can be
but-
wrong at
right.
times.
Right, but
And the
that's
thing
right.
is,
That's
you can
exactly.
be wrong at times. I can be wrong at times. I'm still your fucking friend.
I'm wrong all the
Right?
time.
Right? Yeah. Me too. I've probably been like wrong this entire conversation because we've been talking about women and trans issues, and we're two
I know, right?
We're two people with dicks.
Right. No, but like,
or Pete.
like, but I think you and I are both right about this actual thing. We're just having an earnest conversation,
Right, and it's okay to have a conversation.
right? And you and I
don't-
both
my
actually
thing is
agree.
I don't think my opinion has to be weighed by them.
Right. You and I actually don't agree or don't disagree on this. Right? We both agree. Like, we're both playing devil's advocate at times. Right? To make this kind of like interesting. But like you and I both agree.
Because I need to be wrapping up soon, but you had something
Yeah.
else you wanted, which was something to do with.
Oh, you know what? It's been 2 hours already,
Has it been
actually. Yeah.
Jonah Hill. Can you do you want to like talk about that later, or
Yeah, let's talk about that another time. Because we can
I never even watched.
Like,
that's a breaking points video you sent me.
yeah, just because like I liked it because you had people
That's
of,
the one
of different
with
Jonah Hill and his ex.
No, breaking points.
Oh, that's with
I forget
Sagar and Thierry and Crystal Ball.
Are there other
Yeah.
people that are on that?
Yeah, so David
Network,
Grimm, Michael,
But they're the
David-
main two, right?
yes, and then the girl, I think her name's Emily, with the blonde hair. She's a libertarian that Eric would not like, she's the type of libertarian that he would be like,
This is what gives libertarians a bad name.
right, yeah. Like, and then Ryan Grimm is, so they do 1 day a week. That's sort of like their show, that they like, they come in, and Ryan Grimm's also like the editor-in-chief or something like that of the Intercept or whatever. And so
this
yeah.
is why I like doing what we do. We're just kind of sitting around talking about an issue, but it's like I don't think my opinion is any way valuable at all outside of our conversation. It's like there
Right.
might be some good points I make or whatever, but like I could never be like reporter or somebody who's like sitting there having like trying to have like my opinion is important and you need to listen.
Right?
I could never be that person.
Here, I'm going to open up my mouth and out is going to come an asshole, right? Because that's about all my opinion is good.
Yeah.
It's just like an
my
asshole.
gets jealous of my mouth sometimes
Because it can't reach
because of the amount of
because of the amount of shit. You're outdoing me, buddy. That's
yeah,
awesome.
that's my
Yeah,
job. God damn it.
right. No,
Yeah,
like, but again, like for me, like I just thought like this would be because again, like
because I
like
like
I
you
liked your
because
raw opinion, right?
hmm
And like because again, like you go by your values,
hmm
right? Regardless, right? And I have a bias because I have like again long term time like I've been a Young Turks member for since 2005,
hmm
and so I remember Anna's first day in front of the camera when JR went on his trip to Germany, and that's why
you
she
say
came on.
JR and I have like a flat Dallas.
Yeah, 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 yeah. When JR got shot and Anna came on to replace him.
Yeah,
And so but no, um,
sorry,
people
that
are
was
gonna
a
be like,
flash of my child.
I know, right? Who shot JR?
Or yeah, we're old.
Right. Thrash is gonna love like if you were to ever watch that, he would love it. He would be like
Yeah,
he and some of those BK and all them. Anyways, but like I so I've like and I used to like email like Anna like if I message her like and she even like on her like um Instagram like if I make a comment or whatever or something like that like she knows exactly who I am, right? Like she is aware of me. I've actually like had video
you've
chats with
interacted
them.
enough.
Yeah, like she knows exactly who I am. Like if I send in a message, especially like with my, YouTube like account that I comment on and stuff like that.
Yeah,
She knows exactly who I am, right? Because we actually used to like when she first started and the Young Turks were nobody watched them. Like I would send emails to them directly, and they would message me back and stuff like that. I used to give them all like nicknames and things like that. So like I have like
a long history.
a long a long history. And again, we're not best buddies, nothing like that, right? Nothing like that. We're not best friends. We're not in it. But they're like, oh yeah, I know him, right? I know of him, right? Because again, I would communicate with them regularly, and they would see my information and everything like that. But they don't know a great deal about me. And so with that, I have seen Anna grow up since the age of 19
Hmm
into the woman that she is now, right? And so like you know well over a decade, right? And so there like so that I bring that up because I do have some again first off I've known of her and I've watched the show and been a regular fan of the show for over a decade, right?
hmm
And watching the bonus shows and when they used to get really personal, right? I remember like her original boyfriend that she had when she first started on the show, and like I even know his profession, like so like I've seen this girl grow up into the woman that she is, and so I know like even as she evolves and we all hopefully evolve and mature as we get older and we don't hold on to the same opinions that we had at 19 because if we did we're broken fucking people,
hmm
right? And so like when she makes these claims like you said she's got over like she's got
I mean, she had
since
to have been
19
doing something since before. Yeah, so she's
yeah like
probably at least 20 years worth of.
she's got like no this was actually her first like real show. Like she worked at CBS radio like as an intern for a bit and
Oh,
then
okay.
left that because of how it was really abusive and then came to the Young Turks and worked as
Huh.
the on the Young Turks as an intern and then eventually got the job when Joe
Yeah, but I
left.
mean, she's probably been on camera for what, 15
Oh
years,
God.
and then plus whatever
Yeah,
the
yeah,
amount of years that she
yeah.
worked as an
So
intern.
you
So
yeah,
she,
yeah, yeah, 15, yeah.
experience-wise, is at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's got like plenty of years, right? Like lots of years of of her stuff being out there, right? So you like, so to sit there and say that she's all of a sudden become a TERF when she has been an absolute ally. And then when you look at what she actually said, she didn't say anything against transgender and never has, right? But I do think that I do get a feeling of some people seeing an opportunity and trying to build their own clout off of that opportunity, right? By missing it. And to me, that's a really terrible part because, you know, like she had also later on made a statement that she's, you know, now gotten to a point where she's afraid to like sometimes talk to people outside of like other races and things like that because she's afraid she's going to say something and put her foot in her mouth, right? And then because again, and then when she said that, everyone again went apeshit, and I was like, ta-da! You proved her right. Like she's having an honest statement, right? Like an honest statement of like, I'm terrified of saying the wrong thing. And then everybody jumped in on that.
I mean, it's like me, like I have it like an internal conflict with myself. It's like because it's different from person to person, right?
Mhm.
Does somebody prefer to be referred to as African American? Does somebody prefer to be as black? Are they not? I mean, are they from Somalia? You know,
Right? Yeah.
I
Are they
mean,
from
is
Africa?
it-
So therefore, they're
yeah,
not African American at all. They're just African,
yeah.
right?
I mean, did they immigrate here from Mexico?
Are they from
You know?
Dominican Republic? Are they from
Yeah,
Haiti?
yeah,
Right? Like,
exactly.
so
You
they
know,
don't
so it's
even
just
be
like-
like African. They're
Yeah, it's
Caribbean,
like-
right? Like
Yeah, it's
I'm not African American. I'm Jamaican.
Yet again,
like
yet
sorry,
again,
sorry.
this gets back to our discussion about the platinum rule, right? Communication,
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
but
I understand the purpose for the language of the conversation of identifying particular groups of the population, but it to me yet again until we can reach that utopia, which we're a long way off from,
Right.
it's to me it's still kind of that we're gonna hit we're gonna hit potholes with language, and sometimes misspeak on things.
also on top of it, especially as someone who's got PTSD, right? So she's talked extensively about her history of anxiety, right? Which has been made worse by this job because it kind of put her out there, and made people feel like they're friends of hers when they're not really friends of hers. Like, because again, she's so open, like, you know her, but she doesn't know you. And you feel like you're her friend. Like, I'm not her friend. But she,
Just
like,
because you've interacted with somebody
exactly.
on the internet, not make you friends.
She's my friend, but I'm not her friend. Right? Right? Like, and that, like, and that might be true. Right? But that just because she's my friend doesn't mean I have the right to then go and give her a hug when I see her in the street, because I'm not her friend, right? Like that kind of concept. I'm not saying that's literal. I'm just using that as an example,
I'm
right?
following you. Yeah.
Right? And and she's talked about like being sexually assaulted, right? Not like a party or anything like that, but like about like being a girl and having guys come up and like slap her on the ass as they're driving by, right? And then coming in like, putting their hands on her when she doesn't want that. Or like when she was walking her dog recently and like somebody came up and with their fully erect penis thrusted it into her as she was bent over picking up some dog poop and like repeatedly thrust on her, right? Right. So like, and she's talked about this, and then and I don't have a problem like saying this because she's talked about it openly in multiple forums, and so and again, it's not like super broadcast, but again, so
PSA out there: don't ever touch anybody, regardless of their gender or relationship to you, without consent. Please.
you touch Joe and I without consent, that will not end well for you. I promise you. Like we may not walk away from it. And you may walk away from it, but you will not be walking right. Like I promise you that. Okay? I promise you that with us. And so,
Yeah.
but like,
That's one thing.
so
I've heard
when
people
she
say.
brings up like this fear, right, of saying the wrong thing, especially like now with this turf stuff, she said that after the turf statement, right, that and with the growing cancel culture on both sides, right, and with conservatives and with liberals, right, of this cancel culture and all this stuff, and this like and this dogpiling of it, like I just like I get why people that are like have their names in the public want to shut the fuck up
Mm-hmm.
and not say anything because you know like there's certain like there's certain times when not good actors have made accusations like Amber Heard. Like, look, man, Johnny Depp is not a saint, but like we all saw it. She did him dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you may not have seen it. Eric and I definitely saw it. And
I
she
heard
did
about
that
it
man
enough,
dirty,
but
right? Yeah.
I
You heard
watched
about
a
it
little
from us.
bit, and I was like, well,
This is
I
insane,
have
right?
enough drama. I don't need this too.
Exactly, right? And so, like, again, not to say that's every case,
Right.
but when those bad faith actors come along, it ruins the real case. And that's where I'm like, when people start piling on the people that are actually fighting and doing the fighting, and they're doing it for their own clout, to build their own name, to build their own like YouTube and social media like clout and clicks, and draw in more subscriptions and stuff like that for their own financial gain. You're actually doing a disservice to the group you allege that you're trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because now, like, again, she's going to be her. Like, Anna's going to be her. And the Young Turks, look, Jake comes out and says, I was a Republican. He was like, I was a New England Republican, which a lot of Republicans, and especially us being from the South, would not call New England Republicans necessarily Republicans per se, and especially nowadays, the old time, like 80s version of a New England Republican wouldn't even, that's just a blue dog Democrat, right? Like that's all that is anymore. Like, and so like he like says, like he started off as a Republican and has become a progressive, and but still holds on, like they're like, you're a capitalist, and he's like, yep, I'm a capitalist. I will never be, and he's like, I will never be a socialist. And you know what? I don't agree with him on that entirely.
Not everybody on the left is a socialist,
Right.
or a communist,
Right.
or an anarchist.
Right. And so I'm like, but they're going to be who they've always been, right? And they're going to evolve as they evolve. They're going to do what they do. And like, I really think that when the dust settles, the people that are disingenuous, like again, Jimmy Dore finally came out that he was a grifter. Dave Rubin finally came out that he's a grifter, right?
Well,
Like
Rubin came out saying he was a grifter. I missed that.
no, he didn't come out. It finally like no. Now he's like, oh no, like because it was always this gradual process of like, I'm a liberal. Look, I'm a classical liberal. Yeah, I'm a liberal and I'm asking questions, right? And then I'm a classic liberal, and then and now he's like, now he's just a conservative.
Mm-hmm.
That's now he's just full on a conservative, and I'm like, eventually he's going to become MAGA, right? He's just not MAGA now, and like when he came out that he was having like he was going to have like children, like his audience went ape on him, and he had to go like in front of like Glenn Beck.
I remember this. I remember that.
Yeah. But now he's fully, I'm a Republican. Because again, that's where he gets, he moved to Florida, and now he's like, I'm a Republican. I'm living in Florida. This is like, he left like California.
Just to clarify for everybody, there's nothing in the water as far as I know, and or soil, or maybe it's the sunlight and the sun damage from hanging out on the beach. But not everybody in Florida is a conservative right-wing
majority
MAGA person. I've been here my entire life. I mean, I did, go to California when I was younger and some other places. But I mean, maybe that was what happened with me. Maybe
the majority
California water trip
The
me
re-
up along the way.
the majority of registered um, voters in
Who's
Florida
the
are
fallacious
Democrats.
ranter said, hey, hello.
Oh, hey!
We're not going to be on much longer. You can go back and watch.
Yeah,
I'm trying to wrap up.
yeah.
I gotta
I
get
won't.
back
I
to
won't.
Dexter, and
Sorry,
he's gonna get
back to kids.
yeah.
But that's awesome. I am so glad that I don't know who you are, but I am so glad that you showed up. Check out From Here to Paternity on Twitter, and you'll get to talk to me directly. I reply to everything. And I'm a monkey, and I will dance for peanuts. Well, really for anything. And or on OnlyFans, I'm known as Milkshake. And
Not going there.
it shows like we're not doing this.
No.
But you can also check us out on Facebook, From Here to Paternity.
Yeah, this is my personal channel. This is Joe from those shows.
Yeah, from Here to Paternity.
Yeah, so yeah, my main thing is the art.
Yes, his art is phenomenal. You can purchase it.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna actually sit down and like work on a project while I'm recording this.
That'll be great.
But I need to.
And you and I will
need to have
chat.
my secondary computer. It's just
But yeah.
I will sit there and just it'll turn into like some weird Blender ASMR video.
Hey, we got 4 likes.
It's like, hey, is this work? I don't know. Out of here.
Hey, fallacious ranter. How you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
We're going to be nice and close to the mic to make you feel special. Because at this time, it seems like you are the only person that is here besides us. So you are important to us, and we will make the rest of the show entirely about you.
Yeah. But I'm gonna be wrapping it up because I want to
Yeah.
get back to watching Dexter with the wife. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
It's a good show.
And we will talk about the Jonas Hill thing
Next time.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And so,
they said I'm well in my evening as well. Well, that's
yes,
I'm glad
I know.
you're
I
eating
see
as
that.
well. He's getting ready to go watch some
Doctor Who.
yeah, some Doctor Who. 9th,
Yep.
right? What episode are you on?
So we're now on the 10th. So we started
Oh.
with the 9th, and now we're
Okay.
on the 10th.
Okay.
And Rose has left, and now we're on to the next one, she's actually a doctor. She's African American or black, depending. Well, actually, no, she's black because she's English. So she's black. And so,
Yeah, she's not African.
No, she's just black.
She is wrong country.
right?
She is
She's not even
American.
African American. She's just black. And so she's African Britain, anyways, English. And she was actually a doctor later on. So she was a doctor in Doctor Who, and then later on a doctor in New Amsterdam, which I was like, that's funny. So, anyways, yeah. So we're there. I can't
Yeah.
remember what
I'm on-
episode.
We're on second season. Dexter.
We're on the third season.
Yeah,
So,
we're
like,
second
we're-
season of Dexter. So
Yeah, episode
Stokes,
3 or 4.
Doke, I don't know if you remember the show. Dokes just went after Dexter. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. God, that's such a good show. If you get a chance, I don't know if you've read the books, but check out the books too.
Oh, the books? No, I haven't
Yeah.
read the books.
The books are good.
There's so many books I want to read and not enough time.
Not enough time.
I just
All right,
wish
brother.
sometimes I could just download them, like literally in my brain.
Like Nemo in The Matrix.
Yeah, just I know, I know kung fu. Yeah, But my muscle memory's for shit.
No, Dritz Duerden. All of him. Yes, I'm a dork. I went there. All right.
All right,
Much
man.
love, brother.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Oh boy.
Bye.
Let's see if